Thank you. Hello, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Rick Gregory. I'm from VFS Legal Funding. It's great to be able to show everybody today what VFS is all about, and the broadcast entitled Cash Flow Certainty in a Uncertain World. I think we can all agree that it's been quite a strange 4 or 5 months, and I think it's a perfect opportunity for us to be able to show people how VFS can help with firms' cash flows. Okay, next slide, Julie. Okay, so VFS was formed in November 2011. So we've been around now for 7 years, and we provide bespoke cash flow funding for law firms. We're based down in Bromley in Kent, and we have a national coverage. Staff of 15 people, and we work with around about 80 plus law firms. So we've lent into the market around about 150 million over the past 7 years, and the loan is to the law firm, and it's not CCA funding. VFS was originally started to try and combat cash flow problems for firms. The founders of VFS are from a background where they didn't understand the fixed loans for law firms, where you had to take money out over a set period, and they couldn't understand why. It wasn't like invoice factoring, really, just to take the money when you need it and repay it when you finish with it. Okay, we like to think that we understand the market, and we work with many of the country's top medical negligence law firms. We have many clients that are actually brain injury group members, so if they're listening, a big welcome to them. Next slide, please, Julie. Our philosophy really is very, very straightforward. Is to provide our partners and solicitors funding support in a straightforward, transparent, friendly manner. We like to think that we build close working relationships with the firms. We tend to work with firms for over long periods, and once a firm starts working with us, they tend to stick with us. We try to remove the need to shop around for funding solutions. Next slide. Okay, so why use VFS? We like to think that it creates certainty for the law firms. It's aligned to the length of time that it takes to run the case through to settlement. So the lawyers are free to take the funding out at any stage throughout the case, from either from when there's a admission of liability or when the costs have actually been settled to the cost draftsman or sent to the cost draftsman. And what it does, it enables the firm to have a strong cash flow and enables them to have financial stability. We have three main products, which I will come to in a second. But what it does, it complements your bank facilities. We're not seen to be a replacement for your bank. We work alongside many of the mainstream banks. Okay, the banks recognise the value that VFS bring to the law firms, and the banks are quite cautious in lending into the market, or they have been over the past 18 months. I think we've seen a little bit of a different approach over the past 3 or 4 months with the COVID loans, but we do work quite closely alongside the banks, and we receive lots of recommendations from banks. They recognise the value that we provide to the clients. Next slide, please. All our products are designed to assist the cash flow, and they're really there to release cash back into the business. Okay, so I'd like to just go through the products. Our first product is cost advance. This is where you've settled the case, and the case is with your cost draftsman, and they're negotiating the cost on your behalf. There's quite often long periods where, from submitting the bill to the other side, a lot of negotiation, and what this does, it releases cash tied up in the bill, up to 80% of your bill, whilst allowing your cost draftsman to negotiate on your behalf and not accept a smaller offer or a lesser offer. Quite often we see firms forced into a corner and accepting lower offers, when the reality is they no need for them to accept 50%, 60% on a bill. Let the cost draftsman negotiate the bill on your behalf, and get a better settlement. High cost case funding is very, very similar to cost advance, but this is a case which is the higher value cases where you have an admissive liability backed by an AT insurer. What we can do is we can do a review of your file, and we can look at releasing some of your WIP and some of your disbursements. We can go back retrospectively on each file for you. Disbursement funding is what it says on the tin. It's really just all the third-party costs and your disbursements in running your case, including court fees, medical fees, expert witness fees. And again, once this is backed by an AT policy, we can go back retrospectively on any case. All the funds that are released into the law firm can be used as and when they require. They can use them for staffing, for advertising, for marketing. They can use it instead of running up their overdraft, so they can use the funds for anything that they like. Next slide, please. Okay, so the cost advance is just another quick recap over the three products that we have. It's really like invoice discounting for law firms, and it's designed to improve the cash flow. If the case is settled, you're negotiating the cost, we can release up to 80% of your WIP and DIBs. You pay a low monthly interest and the capital is repaid at the settlement. Again, all the products are there to enable cash flow certainty, and you know when you'll be paid. It's to maximise the case profitability and enable you not to compromise on the settlement negotiations. Next slide, please. High cost case funding, again, just to recap, you have an admissive liability, especially with the kind of cases that members of the group actually run. We can provide funds against the WIP and disbursements incurred. If the case is ongoing, what we can do is we can revisit the case in maybe 12 months' time if you've incurred more WIP and disbursements, and you can make further drawdown as the case progresses. All this is designed to do is make sure that your cash resources are not tied up in taking the case to a conclusion. And it allows you to focus on your case and not the cash flow. Next slide, please. BFS enables the law firm to release the cash tied up in external disbursements incurred. That's what we started the business on, the cost advance and disbursement funding. Next slide, please, Julie. The disbursement funding, we can fund the disbursement on an individual file basis. Most types of cases can be considered, but obviously mostly the members here today are looking at the brain injury and the more serious kinds of cases. We also work in other areas as well, so the funding is not limited just to more serious kind or personal injury. We do look at other areas of law as well. Next slide, please, Julie. A lot of people say to us, why don't you just use your bank? And it's a great question. Banks don't like risk, though. It's a very, very uncertain time, and there's been a lot of high profile insolvencies really recently with plenty of mergers, and it's not just with law firms, it's with AT insurers as well. It's a changing market with fixed costs possibly, and COVID loans, they may have provided a short-term cash flow solution for firms, but they have to be repaid back, and the banks are pretty well covered by the government on any law firm failures. The financial pressures put on banks, really, many of the banks don't understand how long cases take. They don't understand WIP. They don't understand cash flow forecasting with law firms. And we have many long discussions with a lot of our members about how we sit alongside the bank. We're not designed to replace your banking facilities. We are designed to sit alongside them and to help your cash flow. We have a saying that turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, but cash flow is king. Next slide, please, Julie. The process of applying to VFS is quite a straightforward process. What we will do is we will send you a simple application form, and then we'll ask you for financials. We'll ask you for a list of your WIP, and then we will put it through our credit process. Once this has been approved, it's a very, very simple drawdown process, which we'll explain in full details. We ask you for details of the bills, your disbursements, and we send a notice of assignment to the defendant. The funds are then advanced to the law firm. At the end of each month, we send you a statement with your monthly interest on, with each case separately itemised. The capital is then repaid when the settlement is agreed by the firm and the payment is received by yourselves. Next slide, please. So in summary, VFS has got a strong record of lending to law firms. We're a business-to-business funder that sits behind your bank. We're open for business. We've been open all the way through the COVID crisis. Our products work. Our solutions are simple, they're proven, and they're innovative. We'd like to speak to you if you've got any funding requirements and any questions, then please don't hesitate to give me a call on the number below, and we look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you.